Hello, everybody, and thank you all for joining in today as we welcome two very important people in the poetry community here in New Jersey, author Damian Rucci and Cord Moreski. If you're watching us on Instagram Live, we're also here as well. Oh, hey, Damian.
Hi.
Hey,
Hey,
what's up?
thank you both for joining for us today. This is so
It's a pleasure.
exciting, and
Thank you so
it's
much.
been a long time since I've seen both of you. So this is a little reunion going on here.
Yeah.
So I know that we put your bios up before, so I'll just I'll do them again.
Okay, cool.
So I'll go start with Cord. Cord is a poet from the Jersey Shore. He is the author of The News Around Town, Shaking Hands with Time, and Stay Afloat Inside. His work has been featured in As Ought to Be magazine, Ionia magazine, In Between Hangovers, Indignant, A la carte, Philosophical Idiot, Rusty Truck Press, Rye Whiskey Review, The Piker Press, and Silver Birch Press. When he is not writing, Cord waits tables and teaches middle school children that poetry is awesome, which it is awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Where do you teach, Cord?
I'd probably rather not say, but I teach in Monmouth County,
Oh,
New
okay.
Jersey. Yeah.
Cool.
I don't know if people are watching, so
Yeah, totally understand.
yeah. World's crazy these days.
Yes, I totally understand that. So Damian is a poet from the Jersey Shore as well, whose work has been appeared in Ought to Be magazine and Cultural Weekly, No Contact magazine, and dozens of other zines in print, both in print and in digital. He is a founding member of the New Prophets of Poetic Discord and the author of 6 poetry volumes. Wow. He's also the founder of the Poetry in the Port and the host of Bards on Broadway, sorry, and the Chamber Cantos. So where is the Chamber Cantos? I know you were just talking about this before, Damien.
Yeah, it's in New Brunswick.
Nice.
Right on George Street in New Brunswick, and it's pretty great. It's small, but it's growing. We just had our 5th show the other night. And we're battling global warming, and every time we do a show, there's hurricanes and storms and flooding and tornadoes. It was, but it's cool to be doing it again, and it feels great.
Awesome. So whoever wants to go first.
Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm having issues getting on Instagram.
Oh, okay. I know we're all buffering on Instagram.
I'm just trying to mute it.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's make the decision that we'll upload to Instagram afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Peace, Insta.
This Instagram has to get with the times. I swear, they're not with the rest of the social media platforms.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that.
Like MySpace.
I'm having an issue like getting into it.
Yeah, it's weird. I kept hearing myself back.
So you are
Yeah.
good. I'm very much used to that.
Yeah, Instagram has always been an issue with us. So
Always
it's
a
either.
Is there like another link that you could maybe send to me in the chat, or?
Don't even worry about it.
Don't worry about
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Damn it, Cord.
Damn it. This is why I've been hiding for a few months,
Hogs.
So, whoever wants to go first, tell me what you've been doing. Like, I know that we were just saying that we were kind of like, Cord saying he was in hiding. So now that you're out of hiding, what have you been doing?
So just this summer I was just working a lot. My wife and I, we with everything, we got married right before the pandemic happened. Like literally, thank you. We got married like literally like 3 months before everything happened.
Wow.
So we were obviously planning on extending our family or, having these big dreams, and then everything, like everybody else, they just got shot down.
Yeah.
And so this summer I was just like working a lot and just trying to like catch up from last year, and I was also kind of taking a break from poetry for a little while. I did Couch Poets, which was a lot of fun. And I just think by the end of last year, between teaching and that, I was just burnt out, man. I was so tired, and just like teaching last year was brutal. Like it was just so much between like just online teaching and being in person at the same time, and the anxiety of, am I going to get COVID? I can't see my parents. I can't see my friends. So I don't know. I kind of took a break for a little while, and it was nice. I didn't write at all. I felt kind of guilty, but I think it actually kind of like rejuvenated me in a way. I just started kind of getting back on, and it's hilarious. It's like I'm seeing people, like I'm seeing you guys, and I miss everybody, and it's good. I'm really happy to start kind of coming back. I pull a Charles Joseph, every couple of months, like I disappear for a little while, and I'm good.
At least you come back.
Yeah, I come back. He'll be back one day.
Eventually.
Well, I'm glad that you're back.
I've been doing all right. I was in a arts residency in Missouri when the pandemic hit.
Wow.
So it was a weird experience for me because I was living like some sort of wannabe Jack Kerouac bohemian dirty kid, and the next thing I know, the world's a little different. And we got back to New Jersey in April.
Oh wow!
Right, so like everything's shut down, and I'm in deep country, like banjos playing on the porch. Like I was deep out there,
Wow.
And I come back here. And first of all, we knew we were driving home, and there was no one on the highways.
Yeah.
And if you're from the East Coast and your fiance's got colored hair, you're getting pulled over in Indiana, Illinois, Ohio. It just happens. It's like in the Bible or something. And but we didn't get pulled over once. We didn't even see a cop car. And I'm like, now I wasn't reading the news, okay? I was like engaging in wild bouts of chaos. So I wasn't like reading the news. I was just being crazy. And so we realized the pandemic hit while we're on the road. So my last year was weird for me. And, about 6 months ago or 5 months ago, when the lockdown stopped being as heavy, I started playing again with trying to host shows, and it's been a battle. It's not like it used to be, where there was we had small amount of venues, but there was still a scene and a story thing around it. And I'm trying to come into this 2 years of nothing.
Yeah.
And then like trying to get it started up, and a lot of the venues are gone, or they're more corporate. So luckily I lucked out with Chamber 43, the owner of this guy, Jimmy Fasulo. He's a dope musician, and he's cool, and he believes in it. So it's a small and slow grow, but I've been really having fun doing that. And I've been performing with a lot of musicians lately. I've been doing a lot of these punk shows.
Yeah.
In New Brunswick, and basement shows, and that all just kind of fell into each other. And I've been doing more of those shows than I have been traditional poetry readings. It's been a toss-up. It's been good with some, struggles.
You're doing a different form of punk, man. That's all it is.
That's awesome. Well, Damian, you were in a band, right? Like a long time ago, you were in a band, right?
Yeah. Let me tell you about that band. No Faith. I was in a really, really, really bad pop punk band in 2000, like the early 2010s. And I thought we were gonna make it, man. And I got the band tattooed on my arm. Like a year after the band broke up, I was still a sunken spirit, still dreaming of what we could have done. Yeah, so I've always had a love of music and being around that, and I play music from time to time, just writing little folk punk bullshit songs. But it's fun to be in that energy, though. Being the only poet on a bill of hardcore punks who are screaming and there's a mosh pit. It's an interesting experience.
Yeah. How does that even work?
I don't know. I really don't. I did it way back in the day too. But that was different. Like I did a show at the Meat Locker. It's
I
some
remember that
venue. It was an
place.
anti-Trump
Yeah,
show.
remember that
Yeah.
place?
And so I've done these little things here and there, and then Ogbert the Nerd, who is the band of Ross Lane, they used to be in a band called Pep Rally. They really blew up, and they've been playing all these shows, and they asked me to be on one of the bills of them to like host. I didn't end up hosting because it was just chaos, so I was on stage, but it just kind of sunk into itself, and it's been a fun ride. I just get up there and do my set, talk shit, and it seems to go all right. They keep inviting me back, so
That's awesome. That's so. And I know we're going to be talking about community and stuff. So I know, like you've been hosting shows, Damian, for a long time, poetry shows. How is that the punk vibe? That must be a different whole kind of vibe. What is it?
Actually,
really,
I'll be honest with you. The poetry scene, okay, and like scenes come and go, okay, but all scenes are connected in a way. This person influenced this person, or this person didn't like this person and made this. But what we had going on, I'd say, from 2016 to 2018, right? We had Words on Main, Poetry in the Port. Danny Brown had a show. Subsequently, there was a show in Montclair. There was all these little things. Maggie Brown had a show. There was a lot of love. It was a young crowd. People cared. People were buying books. People were supporting. And then that fades. So with the punk thing, it's a lot of the same thing. A lot of young people who are looking, and there's love and there's appreciation, but there's also a shorter attention span. Okay? Yeah. They're nice, sweet people, but you also got to dazzle them because you're at a show and there's dudes. There's the guy before you. They were screaming, crowd surfing, smashing guitars. So like you have to come up and grab them, and either you grab them through being bombastic. Or you have to divert the energy, and it's very similar, but it's also very different.
Cool.
I like it.
And I think it's awesome. That definitely is translated, I think, into a lot of our shows too. Like I also, it's like that's funny about Damian and I were very similar. Like I grew up in the punk scene. My first love when I was a kid, I wasn't an avid reader. I was more into music. I used to collect records and skateboard and all that, and I used to listen to a lot of punk rock, like I was 10 years old sneaking out skateboarding in Asbury Park when Asbury was awful. And, we would go to these shows in people's kitchens and basements and mosh. And that was fun, and we got a lot of I saw bands like Bouncing Souls and the Bad Brains, really good punk bands. And it kind of, I feel like a lot of that kind of translates into what we did with poetry. Even now, like, the flyers, organizing the different sets, and kind of how the poetry scene is, at least what we do. It's very DIY, like the punk scene. It's very like there's a small press scene. We don't really care much about Amazon and stuff like that. We sell more stuff like zines, pamphlets. You go to like guys like John Dorsey or like again Damian. Like you have writers that are all about small press. Like New Jersey's got tons of them. I mean, Kendall Bell's has had Maverick Duck Press since 2005. I mean, that's crazy. Yeah. You got Tom Bacalus, Between Shadows.
He's killing it.
Steve Z, who is in Eatontown. He's at Two Keys Press, which is, if you haven't checked that out, it's amazing. And these guys are all punk rockers. These guys are all old school punk rockers, and they're awesome.
All of them. All of them.
So we kind of like, but I think that definitely is part of the attitude. I think it's part of also the work ethic, because a lot of the I grew up around a lot of punk bands, and they work hard. Like they got to get to one show to the next. So, but yeah, I think that also kind of translates into what we did, and even what we're still doing now.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's so interesting because I'm also in a band, and I'm singing like it's like a. My uncle retired, and he was like, I play the bass, and so now we just do all these like oldie songs and stuff, and
that's cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm having a good time, and it's a lot of work too. It's just like practicing and like the coordination of people, because we have probably 8 people in my band, like 3 guitarists, a drummer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're all like in like their 60s, you know, doing this after work sort of thing.
Right,
Like we're not
right.
going on
Yeah.
the road. Like we're going to the Knights of Columbus. Like
That's a poem title right there.
That is.
We're not going on the road. We're going to the Knights of Columbus.
Yeah.
But I wanted to kind of talk about, I know we were just talking about the punk scene and like sense of community, but how have you seen it sort of change with the pandemic? I know like Cord was saying he kind of took a break. I know I took a break as well for a couple of years.
I don't know. It's to me like, so I did Words on Main for a while, and then I did Verbatim. And then I did Couch Poets last year, and that took off. I was not expecting that to take off. And, at first it was very alien to me. I was just doing it thinking to myself, oh man, this could be a disaster. I don't know what to do. And a couple writers that I knew, actually James Ellerby, Michael Mills. I know like Lynn Alexander in Pennsylvania and Daryl Perry. They were all doing it like in the beginning kind of. And I started kind of watching their shows, and I was like really nervous about it. So I was like, what am I getting myself into? But it took off, and it was good seeing everybody. And I think it did the job that it needed to do during that time.
Yeah.
But and then I came back because it was just a summer thing, and I did it again in the winter, and there was a lot more people, and I was getting people from Australia and England and Canada, and I realized crap, you can really push your stuff out here. You could really get a bigger audience if you actually really think about it. But it's definitely different. I mean, obviously, it's got its cons. It's live, but you're still dealing with the outside noise, internet connections. There's different things that you're dealing with that comes with the trade. But yeah, it's a different animal. It reminds me of social media when it came around for the first time. People were very skeptical about it, and now there's a lot more of these shows, and I don't think they're ever going away. I think you'll always have live shows, but this is a great way to promote your stuff. Say if you're working, right, and you can't go on tour. All right, I can just have a couple shows and bang them out and sell it to somebody else. It's actually you just gotta it takes some time to adapt to, But I think that's another thing that another avenue for us, and also just to meet other people. I met so many cool people, and or saw a lot of people that I haven't seen in forever, and it's nice. I missed them a lot, so. That was cool. Even tonight, seeing you guys, it's just really nice to hang out and just, BS for a little while. It's beautiful.
And I think it's funny how times have changed, because way back in the day, in 2015, Charles Joseph and I hosted this show called Indigent Press Live. Okay. And it was on Google Hangouts.
I remember that.
And I had Sam on, I believe.
Oh yeah. I remember.
Yeah. Okay. And this is 6 years ago, okay? I'm using the lo-fi setup. This is way back.
Yeah.
And we did that because we didn't know anybody in the scene. I knew Cord.
I was supposed to be on that show, and I got sick or something.
Yeah. I knew Cord from my last tenure around 2013.
We broke a bakery.
When you were Papa Ganache. I remember I was at that.
Yeah.
That was a good lineup.
That was me. We had Brandon Deal.
Yeah, Brandon Deal.
There were 50 people, 40 people in that little coffee shop.
Yeah, it is
little vegan coffee
shop. The after school was going on in the background.
Oh, dude,
I felt so bad.
I was so upset because this is the first thing I was hosting. I hosted stuff with my friend John Murdoch back in the day, but this is my first thing, and I show up there. There's a battered children's workshop going on.
Oh, and I was like, oh, in the other room.
I'm laughing at battered kids, I like them cried, but
that is hysterical. I brought my whole creative writing club there. I remember.
How long I've known Damian.
I've known Damian forever. I feel like it's been my entire life.
Sam, I've known you for 6 years, Sam.
I was about to say, this is ridiculous.
It's actually it's gone by.
But I've known Cord for 8.
What was it? I think there was a point where it was
that's a long time, man.
Me, Damian, I don't know if it was. I know Charles Joseph was there for some reason, but I don't remember if you were there, Cord. When we took over Brighton Bar for the open mic night because no one else showed up.
Oh, dude, I remember those. I also remember that first open mic I ever hosted at Brookdale Community College.
I was there for that
in
one. The first,
2013 or 12. It was a long time ago. It was that little black room.
yes,
It was
yes.
like me and Sam.
There were so many, like, if you go back, you can see like all these people who just kind of go in and out of the poetry scene and like come back to it. And I think it makes for this really cool thing. Like you said, Kurt, I've known you for a very long time at this point, if you think about it.
It's crazy, and it's like I love the friendships that you kind of gain from a lot of like there's some in the scene, the community, you know.
No, it was interesting. I was talking to Sam about this earlier because I hadn't messaged Damian in a long time when he got the bio, and I was like reading back, and I was like, wow, like I've known Damian. I've talked to Damian for like a long time. And I was like, oh wow. He was like,
creative writing class.
Like you should come read up this thing. You should come read that thing. And I'm just like, wow, you like, I didn't realize how much I didn't know to things.
So
we've been around for a while.
So can I ask a question? Like,
sure.
Knowing like how long we've done this for, do you have the favorite memory and do you have like the bad mememory?
Yeah, the worst show.
Yes.
I want to know the worst show.
I have. Okay, I'll tell you both. The worst show ever. Now there's two equal ties. The one was me and this guy John Murdoch. He was a comedian. We were hosting this open mic called 2 for Tuesdays at Brighton Bar back in 2014. Okay, and no one would show up. And one time we were up there doing our thing, and the bartender dragged a ladder across the floor, and it screeched the whole time in front of the stage. Walked up and changed the light bulb during the set. That was bad. Also, 2 years ago, no, like 3 years ago now, we did this. We were gone for like a month. Me, Nathaniel Stolte, Matt Haynes, a couple other people bouncing around. We did 2 shows in St. Louis over the course of 2 weeks. The first show, they were at Dunaway Books. The first show was like 20 people. It was this really great intimate reading, and it was lovely. And we came back 2 days later after being in Kansas. And we came back, and it wasn't our crowd, okay? There were like 100 people there, and they were super young and from college.
Oh, man.
And a poet who I respect to the end of the world, my favorite poet, one of my favorite poets, got up there and was doing this poem about like masculinity and like it was supposed to be a poem about like, hey, listen, like men get abused and like we need to be better to women or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. It came out wrong, the introduction, and the entire audience walked out. I mean, the entire audience walked out, and I'm hosting the show. And I'm like on the microphone like, what? Nobody likes fat guys? And like this whole thing. Terrible. My favorite moment of all time was at the last Poetry in the Port show.
That was a good one.
Okay, it was a huge fucking show, way too big. And Charles Joseph gets on the mic. I think he was right before me or right before Cord. Gets on the mic, looks at the audience and goes, I was at the first Poetry in the Port. Where the fuck were you?
Everybody turned white. Moment. Everybody turned white besides like you and Sam.
And he said it with such contempt. That was back when he used to sit.
Cord?
I
think my least favorite, I remember actually it was in Asbury. It was in a basement. I don't even know who was hosting it.
Was that Bond Street?
Yeah, I think it was Bond Street. And it just didn't work out that night. It like kind of like what you were saying with like there's a lot of noise. It was a different crowd. It was a bar crowd. It started a little late, and the speaker was broken. So we were trying to scream over like the bar. You know, it wasn't working. It was a Saturday night. I mean, there was people drinking. You know what I mean? So that was probably like one of my least favorite. But I really have a lot of bad memories. I've had a lot more positives. But I think my favorite was definitely when I put out my one book at Words on Main, Stay Afloat Inside. And that was fun. I just had everybody that I love was there. You know, it was really cool. And there was a bunch of people that were reading, and we just had a really good time. And I think that was probably one of my favorite. And then there was an Easton show. Damian, you were there. We have a picture. Rebecca and I are doing like this like emo pose.
Yeah, that was upstairs, right?
Rebecca knows.
Yeah.
And that was one of my favorites. It was just a really good show. You know, it was in a different state. Nobody knew who we were really, and it was just kind of cool to like read in front of other people that like didn't know your stuff. I love that.
Yeah.
You know,
Just show them that Jersey flavor.
Yeah, you show them, the Jersey flavor. So, but I don't know. But I've had, like I said, I've had a lot more positives than definitely the negatives. And even like I said, the one that I didn't really like, it was just like it happens, like when you host these shows, like right now, like with like it happens, and like I think that's what like being a host is a different animal, like it's different. It's an art. It really is. And I don't think some people don't realize that. I think they think like you're gonna book them and then that's it, and it's like it's just easy for you, and it's not. It's a lot of work. You have to put a lot into it, and it can consume you if you're not careful.
But yeah, it was that Words on Main. I used to go all the time. That was incredible. Oh, that was so much fun.
They ruined food for me, man. The food there was amazing.
It was too good.
The meatballs. Oh my god.
Just the coffee. I remember the coffee. I would get the coffee there every time I'd go.
Can I make a quick? And this is nothing to do. Damian, no offense to you. My parents went to Poetry in the Port once, but anytime I was on Words on Main, my parents would go. They'd be in the back eating. They're there for the food.
They didn't like the crumb cake at Poetry in the Port.
Well, there was some sketchy characters in Poetry in the Port, man. Like we had some sketchy characters. Like, listen, I would just let madness go. Like, if everyone was safe enough, like I would just let it rock. So like, there'd be times when like I'd give Scott Gregory 5-minute sets at the end of the show.
Oh, he was wild, man.
And then sometimes if I knew the energy was going right and Rebecca was mad enough, I'd let him go on for like 10 minutes, 15. So he's doing 20-minute spots at the end, yelling at people, and I was dying in the background laughing.
I actually miss going to Poetry in the Port like in the before the shows, we'd like all meet up and have coffee and pizza. And
that was a cool moment.
I love that. It was such an odd conversation. We just sit outside and just eat coffee.
Well, these people started showing up. I used to show up at like 6, and then Cord would show up. It would just be me and Cord, okay? And then the other people would show up, and then like people started showing up earlier, and I showed up at like 4 o'clock, and there'd be people sitting there. Tom Goldstrand would be sitting there with a suitcase, like smoking a Parliament.
You look like a character from like Inherent Vice. I love
that man. Awesome. Such a talented artist, him and his brother.
I miss him. Yeah, I miss his brother too.
Yeah. Crazy, man. Good times.
How did just a question about Poetry in the Port, Damian. Since it was sort of like the first of its kind there. I mean, I know I was living down there at the time. There really wasn't a lot going on in the art world. How did it kind of change Keyport in a way? Did it or I know you had some backlash back and forth and trying to get it back and
tough.
In the very beginning, there was a poetry mic at some point in the early 2000s, but it was like a really quaint. Let's gather around and sip coffee and read our poems. It wasn't like, what we were doing. Okay, right? So I was in there, and I read on the open mic there a couple times, the Wednesday music open mic. I was kicked off that open mic a couple times as well.
Oh, my God. I did one of those, too.
That's where I met Scott Gregory. Yeah, a little side note. I went there with my band, who we knew was going to blow up, but didn't somehow. And I didn't know the rules of open mic back then. Yeah, it was 2010. I showed up with all my hooligan friends to the open mic, like it's not like a good move. That's not how you do things. I was 17. And the guy kicked me out, the host. And he grabbed the mic. He's being kind of silly. Like, this ain't no place for rock stars. Go play that loud shit somewhere else.
Oh my!
And Scott Gregory flipped over a table and screamed, "You can't stop rock and roll, man!" And he got kicked out too. That's how I met Scott Gregory. That's why I'll always love him. I will always give him a spot on any show. But anyway, I forget how it happened. I think I was talking to Ross Lane, who worked there for a long time, and he's a great musician. He said, "Hey, my boss is interested in hosting something." So I went there. I said, "Hey, can we do a one-off show?" I already done one show at Papa Ganache, and this was December 3rd, I think. She
Yeah,
said, yeah, and it was cool. It was like, I think the first one had like 20 people, and then she goes, yeah, you can have a show. So the second show had 4, including Cord and my mom, and then it was
those are the
it was a long haul. Yeah, but we just kept doing it, and but the biggest thing I think with that show was I would be outside, and Cord would come, and I talked to Cord, and Charles would come, and then there'd be like 5 of us, 6 of us outside, and then these like people would be coming by, and be like, "Yo, what the hell's going on at Espresso Joe's?"
Yeah.
And then they'd stop by, and they'd come in. All right, I'll check this out, and they're like, "Oh, wait a second, hold up, this isn't lame. This isn't what I learned in school." We had garbage man, everyone would just come by, and that was cool. And how did it affect Keyport? After I stopped doing it, and I only stopped hosting it because I got the residency, okay? Somebody was like, hey, dude, you're struggling really bad. Do you want a free house in Missouri? And I said, yeah, I do, I do. But
Shelter?
I don't know what effect it had because there was a couple little shows that they tried, but Keyport, what Hurricane Sandy didn't take from Keyport, COVID-19 did.
Oh,
okay?
Yeah.
Everything's become more streamlined and corporate. But what I do think is cool is that in the current emo New Brunswick punk scene, okay, they refer to all that stuff because there were bands that we played with too, okay? There was the Empire Project, which became Not Leaving Sober, Pep Rally, which became Albert the Nerd. There was Serious Matters, all these other bands that were kind of playing at my book release shows, and we'd play with them. So now they refer to that whole little period between Words on Main, Poaching the Port, and the band shows as the Keyport scene.
Cool.
Right? So that's what I heard several times. So I think it had an effect of bringing poetry into a tiny bit more of a mainstream culture amongst a certain group of youth.
Cool.
Right? That's really it.
Yeah.
But to me, that's just awesome. The fact that one person came out and like knows about stuff like that. Poetry's got a short shelf life. People remember it, but it's hard to keep the ball rolling.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Absolutely.
Really hard, which is why it's important that we all keep doing what we're doing. Cord held it down with Couch Poets.
Yeah,
that's
why I'm a teacher too. Moo ha ha ha. So
what
we do we do poem a week in my class.
Oh, awesome.
And my whole thing is, dude, we're like what Damian kind of hit the head, like the nail on the head before about like I think one of my favorite things about this poetry in general is like I wanted to talk to people, the writers that were like we met all these people like Garbage Men and John Poppy was working at a grave site, digging. He's a grave digger. But people that were like waiters, waitresses, bartenders, construction workers, food store workers. And what I loved was that they were my favorite poets because they were everyday people. They were giving you their experience about trying to acquire this American dream. And is it can you acquire it? And that's what's so beautiful about it was that it was just a perspective from a different person. And so when I read to my kids, I read underground poets. I read small press poets all the time. I'll read the classics, of course, but I will read the small press poets because I'm like, look, this and kids love that because they realize like, oh, I can do that too. And that's what you want to do. They don't like seeing people with a bunch of degrees and stuff. Not saying that they can't attain that, they can, but I think it's less intimidating. And then they realize, oh, well, my dad works at a food store or my mom is a bartender and that is relatable. And kids love that. And that's what they're about. And like, that's the thing. Like, you have to like, I feel like when you can make it relatable and it's not so scary anymore and kids can, it's communication. So it's beautiful. And I think that's like one cool thing about my job is that I'm able to put that into that,
That's awesome. I was going to ask, that was my second question. I was going to ask you about, incorporating do you read your poetry in your classes or?
I've done a couple times. I've read everybody, people in Couch Poets, actually I've read Sam's Jellyfish poem. I've read a couple Damians. I've read Charles. I try to get out because kids love that. They respect it. They see it and they're like, oh, and that to me, like, they remember that stuff. Like that to me it's making sense of this world that we live in. That's what art is, right? Like it's that moment of just like being able to just take it and seeing it differently after reading something or experiencing something, So that's what it's all about, at least for me.
That's awesome.
I agree, Court. I mean, I don't know when the last time we spoke, I started teaching about like at the beginning of the pandemic.
Oh yeah.
School.
It's not like that usually.
Thanks. I'm hopeful.
Yeah.
But poetry. The whole section on poetry every year is my favorite because I do a lot of very similar stuff, and I think it makes it more interesting for the kids because one of the best things that I've seen, because I had my kids from 6 and now they're all in 8th grade, is I want to write poetry this year. I'm like, yeah,
I know, it's awesome. I'm like, all right, do it. And I think I like it because it's kind of a challenge too. Because when they hear the word poetry, I mean, they go the other way when they first hear it. And then when you expose them to it constantly, they're like, this is sweet, man. It's like music without the music. And I'm like, that's what it is. Yeah. That's what it is, And it goes back to the music thing again.
Look at that.
Yep.
So I feel like we talked a lot about like poetry, but that past. Kind of the way the community was. Where do you think it's going? I mean, what's next?
I'm hopeful. I know.
No, I'm hopeful.
We're gonna bring it back. We're gonna bring it all back. We just gotta keep the stuff off.
You know who's been killing it? Ross Haru from Newark.
Yes, I love it.
Okay. The two of us have linked up, and we realized a huge disparity and a huge problem we have is it's weird because in most other states, okay, they appear to have a more cohesive, concise scene. It's not really, it's an illusion because 2 hours traveling in Missouri and Texas, all that places is nothing. In New Jersey, we have such high levels of traffic and like we have these little islands that appear, right? Like I'm not going to Newark.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm not going to Montclair. That's a death trap. That's 2 hours, So, but the problem is also these islands have developed entire scenes and entire genealogies of poets that have come and gone, right?
Yeah.
So like the Newark scene is booming in its own light, but they were watching us down in Central and South Jersey, and we had a little bit of cross-pollination.
Yeah.
Right? But it wasn't enough. So the big thing for us, I think, moving forward, is a more cohesive, diverse atmosphere.
Absolutely.
And by that I mean is get poets from South Jersey, West Jersey, the Jersey Shore, put them up in Newark, get the Newark poets, put them down in Long Branch, Asbury, wherever the hell Chris Rockwell's hosting stuff, which is like super South Jersey.
He's everywhere, man.
Yeah, he's killing it.
I used to live there.
Chris hit me up. He's like, "You want to do the show at the market?" I said, "Yeah, I like markets. I'll go there." And then I was like, "Bro, I can't make it there. I gotta work, and that shit's like 3 hours away."
Oh, I'm going to Tuckerton tomorrow.
There's a show tomorrow?
Yeah, it's tomorrow.
Chris Rockwell's hosting. I got nothing going on.
I wish. I want to
I
go.
have the 3 hours there.
And I know that Maggie Brown's doing. She just started.
I was at her open mic.
Yeah.
It was a great open mic. She brought back Mayhem. It's at 10 Pearl Place, right off of Broadway in Long Branch. Great venue. Mask required. But you know what, though? Even with the mask required, it was a pretty nice show.
And you have a place. You have a place. Right now, it's like, you can't be choosers. Just take what you can get, like.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be honest with you. When I first heard you had to wear a mask there, and I'm not an anti-masker by any means, but to wear a mask on a microphone for me is something I've never done before.
Yeah, it's tough.
It wasn't that bad, except I'm loud, and I open my mouth really wide when I speak, so I had a couple fubashes, but no, it was a great time, and she has a great thing going.
It's good to see that again. When I saw that being picked up again, especially in Monmouth County, it definitely brought me back to that, like Words on Me and Poetry in the Port vibe, and I'm like, I hope that it comes back to that here. I know we were talking before backstage about Sam and I went to a networking cruise. And a lot of the poets and writers I met there, they were all from the Philly area.
Nice.
So I know that the Philly scene is really hopping too. And I want to know what your thoughts were on, like, I know you said there was a scene in Missouri and you guys went to
they're
all
everywhere.
over.
They're everywhere. Yeah.
Like, how do we kind of cross pollinate with different states?
Have you show up there? This is my tip. You show up there at an open mic with a vengeance.
Yep. I think. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was saying.
No, I was saying about I think like that's where I think the virtual shows come into place. Like you can cross pollinate a lot with that. And I think that's also another thing. But yeah, I mean, touring, obviously, that would be awesome too.
Well, and then the touring, I think, I don't want to speak militaristic because I'm like an anti-war peaceful guy, but this is how my mind works. Sometimes, and this is what I've always wanted to do, and I've done it before, but I'd like to do it again, is just showing up to quick cities. And by quick city, I mean, like, we don't have to take off of work for 2 days to go to Philly.
Yeah, you just show up.
Yeah. So sometimes the best thing to do, if you can't get a connection, what I've done is, like, when I've been on tour and been on the road, there are times when we have a day in between. So we'll show up to a place in rinky-dink nowhere. We've tried to get a hold of the host. The host doesn't answer his email, whatever the story is. Right. And just show up to the open mic as open micers, right? And people get to this point of view with poets where so they're an open micer for a while, then they start getting features, and they start getting published, and they start doing this thing, and then they go, I don't do open mics. Right?
Okay.
That's so stupid because open mic is for the performer. It's not for the audience, for the practice. So I would just show up to open mics. I used to go to Philly, just show up, saw my name on the list, and there were times when I hit it. I sold books. I got booked for features. There were times I did really bad, and no one came over to me, and I went home on the train with some tears in my eyes. That's what happens.
Yeah.
One low tear.
I'm not crying, you're crying.
Want to fight about it?
How you doing, kid?
I think Philly's a great scene. I've always wanted to do New England, and for some reason, New England has always been it's right there. It's literally right there. But we have no connections. I mean, like.
Yeah, I know.
New Jersey, we go to New York.
The Northeast is like kind of like desolate and quiet. Like all that up there.
Well, they got stuff going on. They just
I know. I know.
Where do you find it?
We don't know them. Yeah,
we're not cool enough to know about it, or something.
We got to protect the brand.
Because I've looked, and I know Jake St. John's in Connecticut.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
I like that dude. He's cool.
He's awesome.
I know like one or two people in Connecticut, but that's about as far north as I can go.
My sister lives up there. She lives in that area. Like Hartford.
I'm sure like New Haven definitely has. Like, the city itself.
Boston.
Or Fairfield. She lives in Fairfield.
Boston has to have.
Yeah, they have to have some.
New Hampshire's got it. I got a buddy, a poet friend. He just moved back to New Hampshire. But it's just like making it happen. And what I'd like to do is once the pandemic really subsides, because I was on tour last month and it didn't go well.
Yeah, I saw that.
Well,
one show, right? You got one in, right?
We got two.
Oh, okay.
Okay. We did Toledo, Ohio.
Two.
Toledo, Ohio was a good time. It was a nice, intimate show. We did St. Louis. St. Louis was a dream. It was like Mark Twain himself came down from the heavens and caressed us in a hug. It was a huge crowd. Me and my friend Nathaniel Stolte from Buffalo, he was from Cringeworthy Poets Collective, and now he's moved on doing other stuff. We killed it. We had a great time. I mean, like we drove from there back to Bell, Missouri, where the residency is. And the whole way home, well, not home, but back there, we're cheering and singing and, punching each other on the arm, one of those good feeling nights. And we woke up the next morning, and someone we performed with got exposed to COVID.
Oh, no.
And he was on the microphone. And so everything went, like when a record's slow. It was terrible. So I want to do more touring because it's, like, really fun. And, like, I feel it's such an American thing. But it's right now, I'd say I'd like to wait a couple months.
Yeah.
And then start organizing.
Yeah, it's time for planning.
Yeah, to get like not just me, but me and like 4, 5, 6 other poets from New Jersey, and let's do like like the Merry Pranksters, but like the Merry Wanksters or something. And where's all gonna go?
We're just gonna duck Charles Joseph. We're gonna get Charles Joseph.
Just kidnap him.
Yeah, he's got to, man. You know, he's got to
tie him to the roof of the van.
He is gonna show up one day. I'm telling you, it's gonna be like the end of times.
He said he's making a comeback.
He probably is. He's probably writing in his basement right now, saying, "I'm gonna get them."
Jesus wept, and so did I.
I want the first poem to literally just be, "Where is Charles Joseph?" And he just come and like it's his poem, and it's just him just going off on everyone.
Damian, we got to do that thing.
Yes. Dude, I held it up, but I'll tell you why. So, Charles Joseph, I used him, by the way, as a flyer for Chamber Candles. It was a shirtless picture. And he called me. He was like, I was going to tell you to take that down, kid. But whatever. Hope you're doing all right. I caught a big bass the other day.
The taxidermist is going to have a heart attack.
Definitely the mentor. Wait, do you bring fish to taxidermists?
You can.
You can.
You can?
Big fish. Yeah. He's coming. We're going to get him.
Oh, boy.
Hashtag NJ Poet.
This is got off the rails.
But, yeah, the scene's coming back, but it's going to be different.
Yeah.
What I'm hoping for is a young buck, okay? Somebody like 19, 20, 21, 22. I want them to come up and look at me and Cord and Maggie and Chris Rockwell and everybody and say, you guys suck. You're losers. I'm tired of it. This is how I'm going to do it. I want to do it the right way. Yeah. And I want that to happen because me and Cord in 2013, I looked at Cord looked at me. We're like, yo, we're going to do this shit so different, dude. And a couple years later, we did.
Yeah.
We did. You know? I like that energy.
We'll just be Charles Joseph to them.
Dude,
maybe just miserable men. Yeah.
Miserable, grumpy men.
How you doing, kid?
Now, kid?
punching frozen meat on a rack.
You got so off the rails.
What did you expect? It's me and Cord.
This is exactly what I expected.
I love it. I love every moment of this. It's all good.
Delivered.
So I wanted to ask, I know we were talking about how we kind of get people into our, our circle. And I know Damian and I, we went to AWP the many years ago.
I remember that. Yeah, that was 10 years ago.
Yeah, right? Isn't that crazy?
With Finbar.
Oh, Finbar. Oh my God, I've heard that name in so long. Gonna knock you down. Have you done anything like that since then? I mean, I know I've gone a few times after
I'm
that.
not really the kind of AWP person. Like I went to AWP because it was free or it was super cheap through Brookdale. But I've done fests and festivals and gatherings, but most of my energy has been dedicated to this. No, I had fun because everybody kept giving me their free beer tokens. Remember we crashed the Red Bloody. They had all these gatherings of poets after AWP for the poets and the presses.
Right?
Yeah, we did. We went there and drank the beer.
Molly's one, you and I.
Yeah.
We got free drinks the whole night. That night.
I was litty. But so that's not really my scene. Yeah. I don't know. I had a great time at AWP. It blew my mind open. I met so many presses and I met so many people, and it was really this. And I'd love to go to more, but I've been dedicating a lot of my energy to the small press scene, which is for a while they had these great things. It's how actually I got exposed to more of the national scene. It was called the Kansas City Poetry Throwdown. That was in 2016. and it's like it was 50 poets on a bill over the course of 3 days, and that's where I met John Dorsey, R.A. Washington, John Burroughs, Diane Borson, like all these different characters and people. It's where I got the invite for the residency, and I went to a couple of those, and we've actually been talking. Me and I'm not announcing anything. This is just ramble. Nathaniel Stolte and we were bullshitting on the tour because when the tour gets canceled from COVID, you got to talk about something to cheer you up on the car ride, right? About doing something like that.
Oh, cool.
On the East Coast.
Nice.
Okay.
That'd be
now
awesome.
I talked to the Keyport people. I made a post about doing a show in a gazebo, and they hit me up and said, "Why don't you take the main stage?" So I'd like to do something, not like an AWP, more like a big show stage with workshops going down around it, possibly.
That'd be cool.
Very cool.
Or lectures.
Very cool.
We can all talk about that because that'd be something really fun. And I want cool stuff to happen here. The Patterson Poetry Festival is going down.
Oh yeah,
Sunday,
October 1st to the 4th. Ross just tagged us in that.
Are you going?
Yeah,
I just seen it.
Is anyone else going?
I got to work that night, but I'm gonna try to make it. I'm Rosser's gonna kill it, man. He's awesome.
I'm going on the 3rd for the Lit Row event. I'm supposed to be going. I have to get rid of this book.
Take it. Just take it.
Just take it, please.
Take the damn thing.
Listen, I published a book, was all excited, had like 10, 15 shows planned, and then there was
wrecked.
Just this whole
dude, we were supposed to do some shows together right before that happened, remember? I got actually sick out like before one. It wasn't COVID, but I remember like getting like a fever, and it was totally like the flu, but
it was it stunk.
I had COVID I had COVID during Couch Poets. I had to host a show. I had like 102 fever. That was insane. I was turning like green, and like I had like a bunch of the New York poets that were like it was crazy. Oh my god. You just will drop out.
Is that your co-host for your shows?
This is my muse.
Oh my god. Damian, another good show. We were talking about awesome shows before. I think another one of my favorite shows was your gazebo show. That was awesome. But see, Charles was at that. That was a good show, dude.
Yeah.
That was a really good show in October. It was like what?
Yeah, Bert played. That was
right before 2020.
It's funny. I was supposed to go to Europe.
Yeah.
At the end of that week.
Right, England with Dorsey, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that didn't go well. Anyway, so I couldn't go to Europe, and but we ended up landing there. Did this show outside at a gazebo show in October. It was the coldest October night I think there's ever been. There was wind. The fucking boat in the bay wouldn't stop beeping its horn. You remember that?
Yeah.
It was like super loud.
They knew we were reading.
That was a good time.
Yeah.
So, what are you guys working on now? What's like up next with you guys going?
You want to go first, Damian?
Yeah, man. I'm working on getting out of New Jersey.
Okay.
No.
I feel like I've heard this somewhere.
Go back to Missouri.
I don't know. Missouri is somewhere where like I can pay rent. You know, that'd be cool. You know, like it's super expensive over here. And I'm looking around, and like I don't know, other places in the country, the real estate's cheaper, so there's like bookstores.
Yeah.
And they don't gotta make that much money. Like there could be like a bookstore, or it could be like a weird magic store, or they could be like just some stupid shop. But here, everything's like a corporate spot, and if it's a normal spot, like if it's cool, if it's like self-owned, it's not gonna last. But anyway, I digress. I'm working on a full length.
Cool.
Okay. Of poetry because I've only done chapbooks and splits because I held off on putting out a full length to the chagrin of Jason Reberg from Spartan Press because I'm like 3 years past my deadline.
Oh my god!
Wow.
But it's going to be worth it, I tell them.
It'll be worth it.
I'm working on that, and I'm also playing with a couple small projects, and also another big one. Yeah, I'm about to go fishing. Another big one I'm working on is it's a Roman and Clef novel
Oh, nice.
Cool.
about the last 6 years of my life.
Very cool.
So that's something. So it's a slow grow. It's a new process, but I'm having fun with it.
Awesome. Well, I wish you all the best, Damian. And
Thank you.
I'm like really looking forward to going to that open mic next. This week.
Yes,
This week.
I'll have the event up soon.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. And what about you, Cord? I know you have been a
Yeah.
lot going on in teaching and that goes after that. So
yeah, I'm actually starting to work on a couple new projects. There's a I too want to put out a full length, probably maybe like end of next year. I'm going to start working on it now, but there's a couple of chapbooks I want to work on for next year, and I got a couple publishers that I've been talking to. I just haven't started them yet. I've been kind of procrastinating. But yeah, there's a couple of things, and maybe I don't know. I might bring Couch Poets back for another round in the winter if it's quiet and it's cold and we're stuck again. I might just do it for another couple of months. You know, we'll see. We'll see how the world is. You know, and if it's super bad, maybe I'll bring it back again for like another couple of months for our sanity. So
awesome. Well, thank you both so much for being on this, and it was
thanks
so
for
good
having
to
us.
see both of you.
Great time.
And I really look forward to seeing all your projects. And where can we find you both?
At street corners.
You asked the question, and I knew what the answer was gonna be.
Street corners of your local county jail, probably.
Facebook
In front of a
and
7-Eleven, yelling.
Instagram, pretty
Okay.
much. Yeah.
So it just
I have a website. I haven't updated it since like January, so
okay.
I gotta fix that. Yeah, I'm working on some stuff.
Quick final thing, before, because I have to do we have to make the money for this business to keep being a business. If you enjoyed this show, if you're the one person who's still watching, I see you out there. Please give us a tip at Venmo. How much should a tip be? How much do you think we're worth?
$1 million.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
How much?
I want to sleep tonight.
Do you love me? How much do I need to give you for you to give me money?
One of my favorite lines selling books is like during the holidays. I'm like, yeah, I got some books for sale. If you hate poetry, or if your friend hates poetry, like here you go. Like buy them a book. They'll hate it. Like or like great toilet read.
What my audio?
Wow.
Sarah, what events do we have coming up?
So we'll have a few more panels in October. Dates are still tentative.
We have, on the 16th,
The 16th?
12th, we have a new interview with the Other Side Books also happening. We're going to announce a bunch of events. We have classes going on.
Yes.
Sign up for classes. Love us, please.
Love us.
And if anybody has any suggestions for what panels that they would love to see, please shoot us an email or a comment in either our Facebook,
Instagram,
or even email us too.
Make a random TikTok about it and send it to me.
Call me. I don't know.
All right. With that said, Sarah, do you want to take us home?
All right.
Take us home.
All right. Thank you all so much, and we hope to see you at the next panel. Thanks again, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.